Jack, appreciate you being here, man. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. Talk a little bit about your experience with Default Kings. You are on day, what, 115, 120? You're somewhere around that mark, right?
Yeah, 120.
120, man. 120. You haven't missed a journal entry yet, bro. You haven't missed a journal entry yet. And you've obviously seen a ton of success here, and I don't think that's by mistake. So that's why I'm excited to chat. And I can't wait for the world to hear Jack McNaughton's story because it's pretty freaking incredible. So tell everybody a little bit about what you do for work, what your day-to-day looks like.
So at the moment, I'm studying to become a scientist. So doing a Bachelor of Science major in physics. But obviously at the moment, obviously on break, on hiatus from university. So I've been doing a lot of work just to sustain myself into uni. Day to day is like, wake up, get a workout in 4 out of the 7 days of the week, and then just hit it off to work.
Yeah, man. Studying to be a scientist, bro. This guy's smart. This guy's smart. Man, we were on the call today. We were on the group call. We were talking about all kinds of scientific stuff. I was like, man, I need Jack. I need Rhodes. I need all of our guys that are deep into the chemistry side of things that would be able to answer some of the questions I was getting. It was awesome, man. It was awesome. But again, I love hearing your perspective on it because you're kind of somewhat in a unique situation, right? You're one of our younger guys in the program too, and you're going through university still and going through this program. And tell me a little bit about what your life looked like maybe before you started going through the program as well. I'm curious to hear that.
Yeah, sure. I suppose for me, like obviously I was still at uni, but I was getting through it. I obviously wasn't failing, but like a lot of it was just like because it was all online pretty much. I rarely went in. We'd get up at around like I'd say 5 p.m., 4 p.m., like really, really late. Get up, maybe
Yeah,
do
yeah.
some study, and then literally just like play video games. Like that was like a big thing. Order like delivery in, like just have crap everywhere, sitting in my room, just like playing some video games, and then study on the side. That was like a big thing. Like obviously, before I joined this program, it wasn't just like all doom and gloom because I obviously did try some other things because I don't know like how many people know like my story, but when I got out of school, like I was always like a little bit overweight, but I just like lost a bunch of weight the hard way, like not the easy way with this program. Just basically starving myself and doing some running. And then when I got into uni, because uni for me is like this massive priority, and it was a bigger priority than like literally my health. And I was like a team leader. And my problem was that I didn't think my team was very good at what they did. So instead of like trying to allocate and tell them to do things, I just like ripped it out of their hands, give it to me, let me do it. I'll do it.
Yeah.
And it's led to like being massively overworked. And like obviously when I went into this uni after I lost all this weight, I was like healthy. But as like, more the weeks like churned on and I had more and more stuff to do, I was like, oh, I'll swap out my whatever my healthy food was at the time for just like a quick, like Uber Eats delivery or just like some soft drinks or whatever it is. And it just led to obviously like people like, oh, Jack, you shouldn't do that, right? But it didn't matter because like that wasn't my priority. My priority was do well at uni. And that overtook that time. And so obviously when I started to put on this weight, like it took for a while. I was like, oh shit, I gotta do something about it. And I tried these different things. So I obviously tried those like this meal preparation service
Mhm.
that I later found after joining this program that has like way too little calories and it was super restrictive. Like literally, although you could choose that, I chose like 7 days because I was like at the point I was literally just like go in hard or just don't go in at all. That was my philosophy.
Mhm.
So did that for 6 weeks. That didn't work out too well. Then I tried this government mandated government research like program, literally by the New South Wales, which is like my state in Australia,
Mhm.
government to like lose the weight, and literally gave me like it was like hand fed to me. I had like a shopping list, all these things you need to buy in the week,
Yeah.
like how to prepare the meals. I had like a workout plan. I had like all these how many steps you need to get a day, and literally spent like 2 hours a day cooking. Like that's what I had to do to do this program. And although like from a robot's perspective, it's a very good way to lose weight, but not for a human, right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly. Yeah.
it was not a fun like I don't enjoy cooking that much. Not a fun time spent all the time in the kitchen. Literally like the workouts, like like obviously with like you guys, it's like, oh, pick a low weight to start and do how many reps you can till you fail. They're like, oh, do 30 reps. I was like, I can't even do 5. So I couldn't even get through one workout. Like they were just like way too hard for me, especially from a guy who hadn't done much exercise at all. And
Mhm.
obviously I went to like did some fitness YouTubers, learned a lot about like, you know, losing weight and like calorie deficits and all this stuff. But it was like the big thing was just simply like not attacking the underlying habits and like obviously just trying to change everything.
Yeah, so you were somebody that you were doing super restrictive calories, you were running, you were trying different things, you were doing meal delivery service, you were doing all kinds of different workouts that were maybe even too much for you at the time. And I want
Yeah.
you to kind of stay on this because I want you to talk about what's been different being in our program compared to the stuff that you did beforehand.
Yeah. So in terms of like the workouts, obviously, um, it's like a build up over time, and you pretty much like get to do obviously what you can do. So I know like we talk about uh like Steven, like he only has like those 10-15 minute workouts. So like you just it's just like it's very like tailored to me personally. And so obviously I can like slowly build up and get back into it rather than simply just like, oh, here's a professional athlete's workout. Just do it. You'll be up at the end, right? So I think that's a big thing in terms of like the workouts and just like slowly build those habits. And obviously like the psychological thing with the like the power list. And you simply like all I had to do literally was like work out one day. Like that's all I had to do, work out. So literally I'd wake up and this is like probably about like 11 a.m. because obviously I just started the program. I hadn't quite, got everything sorted out. And I literally was like, I'll do the workout for like it was like an hour and a half, whatever it was. Oh, I'm done. That's it. I'm done. That's all I need to do. I don't need to freaking, do anything else. Like a big thing. And I suppose the other thing as well, in terms of like the talk about the super restrictive dieting, it's like it's not restrictive at all. But instead of just like trying to push away all these urges to eat all these different foods and then eventually like caving in, it's like, oh, how about you just prepare for it, Just like you want some cravings, so instead of just like pushing them off until you like overload, just have something, but set yourself up. So a big thing that I would do is like there's this place called Wings and Tins that I go to pretty much every Friday night now, and just like wings. And so like literally I would just have a protein shake in the morning, and that would keep me going until like the evening, where I literally just like had a bunch of wings, and they're just like the funniest thing. My friends look at me just like, "Bro, you're having so much food, man. What are you doing?" And then like I sent him a picture the next day. I lost weight, lost half a kilo. Like what? I actually had like a coworker saying, "Man, it's unfair. This guy can eat like ice cream, pizza, wings. Like I think I was eating like biltong, cabanossi, and he's losing weight. Like this is unfair."
It's
So it's
amazing.
like, yeah,
That's amazing. And I think something too about you, Jack, is like I said at the beginning of the call, like you've been super, super diligent about doing the stuff that we talk about in terms of the behavioral psychology behind what we do here, right? Like you've been diligent with the journaling, you've been diligent with the power list. And talk a bit about that and how that's impacted that for you and made it easy to do the sustainable route of like maybe having the fun foods, having the things, enjoying the workouts. How has that made it easier for you to stick to it? Because I would imagine all of the behavioral psychology stuff that we do here has played a major impact on why you can do that. And everybody that's listening is like, holy shit, he's eating pizza and ice cream and wings. So talk a bit about how that's helped you, because I know you've been super, super diligent with it. One of our most
yeah,
consistent guys ever, like ever, like
yeah,
hasn't missed a journal entry, hasn't missed a power list. He's done
yeah,
everything to a T. So talk
yeah.
about how that's benefited you.
I suppose like with the journaling, like it literally just like changes like my focus.
Mhm.
I don't know how much like the viewers know about like, but like with the gratitude journaling, it's simply just like I give the analogy like if you ever trying to buy a new car when you're driving home with your old car, you see that car everywhere. You can see it all over the place. And so with the gratitude journaling, it's literally changed my focus on the things I actually like give a shit about. And so simply just feel a lot better because instead of all this negative stuff that I'm like passing through my brain, and obviously like I honestly thought it was like BS when I started it. I was very skeptical when I started this program.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what is this BS? This is just like some fluff, but it actually like changes how you perceive. So I think just like on like the baseline, literally just like feel a lot better simply because of what I'm allowing into my focus, like simply. And I suppose like with the so obviously like the commitment part of it, anyone who like I care about, and if I sit down with you for longer than 2 minutes, you're gonna hear about this program that I've done. You hear about my weight loss, and so I suppose because everyone knows about it, I think like something like Gabe said at like the very first call that we did, the strategy call. I think it's like shame is a more powerful motivator than pleasure. And I know for myself, having like lost weight in the past and put it all back on, to have to face the people who literally like love you and care about you and have congratulated you for losing the weight, like you have to face those people when I put all the weight back on. It's very hard to do. So the way like I kind of frame it is to save myself from this future shame. I have to stick to my default actions, I have to stick to my working out, to my eating. Otherwise, these people like the amount of people that I've seen, like obviously because I've done a lot more socializing since I lost all this weight, like that I've like, wow, Jack, you've really turned it around. Like I don't want to see them again in a month, like some of the people I don't see very often, and I pour the way back on. That's not something I want to do. And so like to pretty much protect myself, really, I just continue having to focus on that. It's like literally like what goes through my mind sometimes when I was sitting in my bed, like, oh, I don't really want to work out today, you know? I don't really want to do all this stuff today. But then like even sometimes when I do have those like might go over my calories a little bit sometimes, I was like, oh, the next day I need to do well today to stay with it, consistent with that. And then I suppose like obviously like we like talk about the powerless, being consistent with that. So the big thing about that is like if you're where I was and you like, you know, obviously talked about pretty low point, I could probably make a list of 2,000 items I need to fix, right? And it's like, well, how do you get all that stuff done? That's a very daunting task to get all that stuff done. And so instead of having to focus on 2,000 items, let's focus on three. That's all I have to do today. 3 items. Okay, they're done. Let's do that again the next day. Okay, they're done. Do that for a month. All right, let's focus on another 3 items, the most impactful ones. And eventually, right, I actually can move the lever and actually start to, change everything.
And Jack, this sounds like it was like a long journey for you, right? It wasn't your first rodeo losing weight or going
Yeah.
through a coaching program of sorts, right? Something that's helping you move toward that direction. What do you think for you was the main driver for you to join us specifically, to make that change specifically and commit to this program? What do you think was the main thing that pushed you over the edge?
Um, I suppose like obviously Gabe is a very good storyteller.
Yeah.
He was very engaging to talk with. But I suppose the big thing, I'm a science guy, and um, the behavioral psychology, like that section of it, is something that I've dabbled in, like with like the new map. I don't know if you have heard of that,
Yep.
but I've dabbled with it. But like just to have this basis, and also it's like founded in science. And the big thing is like when I would ask him questions, like there was no brick wall. There was no like, oh, I can't tell you about that. I can't tell you this. Like he was very um anything I would ask him questions about, which is like a big thing for me. Like I will be that super guy in the class. I'll just put my hand up and ask a question if I don't understand it. If I think it's even if I think it's a dumb question, because if I don't fully understand something, it's like, what am I doing here? Right. And it's funny, I was talking to a friend and he's like, oh, some things you just don't know the answer to. I was like, no, I just don't know the answer yet, but I will know the answer soon. So that's like kind of my mindset in terms of like understanding. I like to understand everything that I do. And it seemed just like from when I was talking to him, like anything that I wanted to know, like I would happily know. I don't know how many questions I've asked relative, but I asked like a lot of questions to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know relative like how many other people, but I think that was like a big thing to really just like, hey, let's do it. And I suppose a big thing, obviously, I think you've changed this guarantee slightly, but for me, it was like you would lose, I think it was like 15 kilos, or would work with you for free until we actually did it. So like the fact that you're willing to put like that guarantee in, and the fact that also like he was already confident like in me. And obviously like this is like past actually joining the program, but I think a big thing was like, hey, you can say anything in private to me, right? About like, oh, you're gonna lose this, you're gonna do well. But when you put it like on your Twitters and you show the world like, hey, I believe in this guy, it's like so much more powerful because it's like, oh, they're not bullshitting, right? They actually think I can do this.
Yeah.
And that's like a big thing in terms of like after I joined, which is like, hell yeah, this is going to work. Like these guys all believe in me and they've already helped. Like I think at the time it was 215 people, right? So the fact that it already helped people and they believe in me means I have to be successful. Like I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. It's no mistake too. Because like I said, you've put in work. You've put in work and you've been diligent and you've been, for lack of a better word, like a great student. You've actually practiced the stuff that we teach, the principles that we give you guys to use. And obviously it's led you to the results that you have now, which is what last I checked, it was like 60 pounds. How many I know you're on kilos. So how many kilos is it? And then we can kind of translate pounds for the viewers.
About 32. So
Yeah.
what's that?
Times 2.2. So what?
71.
For the 70s. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And it's no mistake. That's the biggest thing that I want to make sure obviously the viewers too, but I want to make sure it's not by mistake, right? It's not an accident that Jack has lost 71 pounds, right?
Yeah.
He's done the stuff. He's taken advantage of the resources that he has. And that is the one consistent principle we see here is the guys that take advantage of the resources, they smoke it, they blow it out of the water. It's a no-brainer. That's why we have the guarantee, which now, Jack, it's changed to 300% money back if you don't see the results.
Right.
We know it works, right? Obviously, it worked well for you. And for you, what other areas of your life improved outside of obviously just the number on the scale, which 71 pounds is freaking crazy. That's amazing, right? But what other areas of your life improved? And by how much would you say they improved, kind of as a benefit of going through this?
Right. I suppose hard to put a number on it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe like 30,000 times better. So 30,000%, it's like 30 times better, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Literally just like feeling better about life in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like the main thread line through it. Or just like actually feel happy to be here and actually feel happy to, you know, go to work, feel happy to do the workouts and just like live life. And that's like the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like had a really bad back. Like that's like I'm sitting down right now, like no back pains at all. It's like I think that's a big thing. Would literally walk to the fridge, be out of breath, be like that was like my level of fitness. And now like feeling a lot better with that. Obviously like somewhat consistently hit 10K steps, I would say, in the day. So going from like literally out of breath for 30 steps to times that by what, like 130, 150 times walking to the fridge, and then I can do that, not out of breath at all. I suppose like the relationships, like obviously uh still working on finding a girlfriend, but in terms of just like with my family, like I think even like a week in on the phone to my mom's like, oh wow, you're actually like nice to be on the phone with. But like with my dad, I think like I said I would clean the ceiling because it was like mold and shit on it.
Yeah.
And the next day I did it and he literally like looked at me and giggled like, what do you mean? I'm actually someone who does the things that they say they would do. I think that's like a big thing for me. So just like improving that with him. And obviously like keep getting invited to all these like social gatherings, obviously must be fun to play with, must be a good, like somewhat decent, friend because they want me back, right? And so I think the relationship with people, obviously like financially doing a lot better, right? Actually put some money aside to and then investing it rather than investing it into like fast food every day, every 2 days. I actually, putting it towards like new beds, right? New clothes, which I need, right? Because lost all this weight and investing it in like rather than just like food, right? And not good food. It's not just like grass fed, beef or whatever, but investing into like myself and improving myself. So yeah, and then obviously actually have an idea of what I want to be. Like obviously I've already improved So like day 120 roughly, but have an idea of where I want to be in a year from now and 10 years from now. And so when I go to work, I know like, okay, I'm doing this because of, like obviously I enjoy it. But I know doing this because of where I'm going to be in the future. And a big thing as well, especially with like the dopamine reset that I did, is that I actually feel pleasure from completing work now. That's
Yeah.
like never something that's ever happened to me before, where I like finish some study or finish like a shift or finish like a task at work. I was like, hell yeah, we've done it. And I have coworkers, oh,
Yes.
what do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you like? I completed it. Like, oh, okay. Like they're just like confused by that. And before it's like, oh, when do I finish? When do I finish? Right? Let's go home and play some video games, right? I actually like this like reset that I've done has actually changed my brain. And like especially like working out, like the feeling of finishing a workout, like I think Christmas Eve worked for 14, 15 hours. And I hit the gym after that. And the feeling of like euphoria when you finished like the workout, I was
Yeah.
like lying on the ground because I think it was, I think I did like planks or whatever it was at the end, right? Just lying on the ground, just like finishing it. You feel so good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You've obviously seen this translate to, it sounds like you're making more money now, relationships are improving. It's obviously more than just a health thing, more than just a fitness thing for you. And I'm curious as to why you think that is, that the other things improved too. Because obviously the big focus with all of the behavioral change that we do here is geared towards the fitness. But every
Yeah.
single person that I've had on a client spotlight interview has told me about all these other things in their life that have improved as a result of that. And so I'm interested to hear your perspective on why you think those other things improve as a result of that.
Well, I think when you start to improve like one area of your life,
Mhm.
you can't help but thinking about improving the other areas of your life. I think that's like a big thing. It's a domino effect.
Mhm.
People say like obviously there's consequences for your actions, but it's obviously you can think of that in like a positive way as well. Whereas like obviously not necessarily want to change every single thing in your life tomorrow. But when you start to work on your fitness, it's like, okay, well, I've worked on that better every day. The getting 1% better every day is like once you've oh, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Now you're back. Okay, there we go.
Oh, cool. Yeah. You can hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah,
When,
you're
when did
good.
I when did I cut off?
Just right after I kind of asked the question, you started going to it. You was like you improve one area of your life, and then you kind of start to improve.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you improve one area of your life. And obviously when you hit your like for example, the first thing that you guys try to get us to do is like the workouts and like the protein, right? When you've improved that area of your life, it's like, okay, what else can I improve, right? And this idea of getting 1% better every day, it's like, okay, well, what now, right? I'm hitting my workout every day. That's easy. Okay, what else can I improve? And so you start to think, okay, I can improve this, right? I can maybe do this a bit better. And I think a big thing for me, it's like where I'm at right now, it's like I'm conscious of everything I'm doing in a day. So it's to say that like, I have to, you know, be all systems go for 16 hours of my waking time, but I'm obviously conscious of like all the things I'm doing because obviously like when you started, it's like waking up at like whatever it was like 11 or whatever. Was it better than it was before, right? We're talking about like waking up at 4 p.m. But I would do my workout for an hour and a half, whatever it was, and it's like, okay, I'm done. But now it's like, okay, you know, I'm doing all this stuff in my day. Well, maybe I'm not as focused. Like, why? Like, okay, maybe my sleep is not as good, so I got to fix that, right? I think it's like rolling over, and especially like with the workouts as well, in terms of like this the stress, which is a big thing. The workouts, and obviously like I do like the ice baths as well,
Mhm.
but just like managing stress in my life, like I would probably say that this is probably in terms of like the stimulus, the most stressful like time in my life, but I don't actually feel as stressed because of obviously like the workouts and this idea that when you face stressful events, when you literally like holding weight above your head, which if you held it there for long enough, it'll come crashing down and kill you. So you
Right.
put yourself in these stressful events. The other stresses relative to that seem like very simple, very easy, right? It's funny. It's like I worked Christmas Eve at like a retail place, and my dad's like, "Oh, it's gonna be the hardest shift you ever done." So I came home after finishing that shift. I was like, "Oh, that's the easiest shift I've ever done." It's like, "What? Really? Easiest?" Because it's like, although you have all these things coming at you, right? And it's like, okay, well, what can I do? Well, only what I'm able to, right? So you just do the things you're able to. There might be like a line building up, might be all these orders you have to do, but you just do the thing you can do. And I think it's like the biggest thing with like managing stress. And because I can manage a lot more stress now and not actually feel as like stressed internally, obviously able to do more things as well, right? And that's comes with like health as well. Like I think improving my health, I'm a lot more alert and less tired. Like I'll literally be up for like 3 hours and I feel tired, right? Like that's like how I was. And I was like, I was having naps all the time, right? To try to recover my tiredness. And it was like 2 hour naps, right? Probably not really a nap, more like a sleep, right? But I think that's the big thing as well. Just literally have more energy in the day because of your workouts, because you're focusing on your health and nutrition to actually do things. So I think in terms of like being able to do stuff and improve stuff, you have more time to improve things. You have more time where you're more focused because you're more healthy and you can actually like, you know, do the things as well.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. It's amazing. You've seen a lot of different benefits, obviously, right?
Yeah.
You've gone on about like most of the stuff you talked about here. We've only mentioned the actual weight loss that you've seen. We've literally only mentioned it once, right? Like everything you've been talking about has been outside of that. And in your opinion, what do you feel like is the area you got the most value from in working with us? Like, what do you think that the biggest value add that you got to your life as a result of working with Default Kings was for you? And why do you think that is?
The biggest value, I think definitely like the psychological stuff and like the social commitments. Because as I was mentioning before, literally like anyone who like I actually care about and I sit down for 2 minutes is going to hear about this program and hear about like the weight loss. And simply when they hear about this, obviously they're going to know the next time that I see them, like, oh, how's he going now? Has he lost any more weight? Like literally, like I get people asking me, oh, how much you up to now? How much weight have you lost? Right. And then obviously on those test days, it's like, oh, I better go do the workout so I can go tell these people I've lost even more weight. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a big thing in terms of like the value. And it literally just like is almost just like a self-correction device. Like that's like the value in this commitment where it's like, obviously I'm not trying to go full 100% like every single thing I have to do is perfect. I think that's like a big thing. Even though like correcting myself, but like I might think of like when I open up like YouTube or Netflix or whatever, and I should be at the gym. It's like you open it up and you're like, oh shit, I told all these people about these things. I better lace up
Or
my
execute.
go to the gym.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a big thing. It's like because obviously when I started, this is like the biggest thing when I started, you have all these habits and it's very hard to change, especially as an adult, your habits are more ingrained rather than like being a kid. So it's like the brain is, well, it's not really fully formed for men sometimes to like 35, but it's more formed anyway. But uh you have all these habits that you do, and it's like you kind of like catch yourself out. You're doing these bad habits, like, oh shit, I shouldn't be doing this. Right.
Mhm.
And there's the other thing as well with like obviously we talk about like the elimination part of it before, but obviously I still like to have these other things as well, right? Like obviously like the ice cream, like the have wings, pizza, and all this stuff. But I think like a big thing in terms of like the value from you guys is like instead of just ordering it in and having it in your house, like make a event out of it, right? Like literally just like, oh, let's go out with my friends and have it, right? Or if I want to get an ice cream, like I'll literally walk to the supermarket, buy it, and walk back. That's the only thing I buy. It's like one ice cream, walk to the supermarket, get it back, and it's like not only have I like burnt some calories, but also like it's not in my house. So I can't like it's like the effort required is quite a lot to get this treat. And so it's like, do I really want it? All right, I really want it. Let's go walk to the supermarket. So I think that's like a big thing in terms of just like obviously like before I had already had this thing of just like eliminate all like the fast food and stuff from your house. But I think also like the big thing is just like instead of just not doing it at all, just prepare for it. And like obviously it can go back through my food diary, but like it's not like I've not had any unhealthy food. I've had unhealthy food through this, but this underlying thing of like the social commitment where it's like, hey, I gotta get back on track. So I might have like a bad day, and it's like the next day, okay, we got to hit the workout today. We got to do our steps today. We got to eat healthy today because you ate unhealthy yesterday, right? So almost like the self-correcting thing that you guys have kind of given me.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm proud of you, man. Proud of you. Genuinely. Like you have earned every single thing that you've gotten here, right? We gave you a roadmap, we gave you tools, and ultimately you're the one that executed on the mission, right? None of this stuff works without you. So I'm proud of you, brother. I appreciate you being here. And I have one last question for you that I ask everybody to close this call because there is somebody out here that has listened to this and they resonate with you, they resonate with your story. And I want you to tell that person why they should act. Why should somebody that's listening right now act and make a change in their life?
Well, I suppose this idea of like getting 1% better, right? Like if you change today, you might not notice it tomorrow. But I think it's just like massive compounding effect. So if you like, the hardest thing is to start pushing the boulder up the hill. But once you start pushing it, it's a lot easier. So I think just simply, if you want to change it, just like start. It's all you have to do. One small thing, all you have to do. Even if it's like, hop on a call with you guys. It's like, what is it? Half an hour of your life that you're probably going to spend like, watching Netflix anyway, and you're not going to really remember afterwards. So you may as well. And I think it's something like crazy. So I was doing like the math on this. And at the end of this program, like this 12 weeks or like 86 days, you're like 2.5 times better if you get 1% better every day. But by a year on, you're 36 times better. Think about that. That's freaking crazy. 36 times better. But just like literally the equivalent of like making your bed, right? That's a small task that will get me better. Making your bed. That's all it is. And it's literally 36 times better of a person. Like that's crazy, man. All it takes is like a small thing. It's like easy, but you have to actually do it, right? That's the main thing. I think that the big thing as well is obviously there's like a lot of stuff out there that is like hard to decrypt because all you got is like conflicting like health advice rather, but simply just finding out like what works for you. Like obviously who gives a shit about these studies, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't work for you, right? The only thing that matters is you, and if it works for you and you get better from it, just do it.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Jack, I appreciate you being here, man. I appreciate you sharing your story because like I said, man, it's an inspirational story and you have shown unmatched grit, unmatched dedication to something and you're obviously reaping the rewards. So I love chatting with you. Every time I talk to you, I'm energized because it's so cool to see you, man. Every time you get on a call, you have a big smile. It's so fun. You're always in the group. You're always positive. So you're a pleasure to be around and I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me, man.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother.